Hey everybody, it is Adam, and I am back with another Former Athlete Society accountability call. So, what's up, everyone? If you are unfamiliar with who I am, what I do, my name again, it's Adam Ringler. I'm a strength and conditioning coach and have been for almost 20 years at this point. And we're going to go long with this one. Real talk, real tactics. I have a few stories that I haven't really told much. I'm going to share it with you guys today on this call. But here's the setup. Today, I want to walk through four simple but high impact accountability topics that cut through the noise and actually make the day to day easier. These are things that I use when life gets a little busy for me, when my training window shrinks, and when the scale is kind of stubborn. So they're super practical, they're repeatable, and they scale with you. So we're going to cover things like inputs and outputs of weight change, how owning the last couple hours of your evening will predict the next morning, how small investments in clothing and different shoes and things like that can actually change your behavior, and kitchen utensils that make nutrition super sticky. So I'm going to give you all of the reasoning, the mindset behind the choices, some tactical steps that you can use today, and maybe a tiny action item that you can take before the session ends. So let's just jump right in to the first thing I want to talk about today. And that is the equation, inputs and outputs, and maybe some smart levers that you can pull. So if the scale is moving the way you want, congratulations. Now you have three levers you can pull. Don't wreck your nervous system by maybe jerking the cardio lever all the way down. So what I mean by that is I want to start with the math because it is honest. It's math. It is real. Calories in, calories out. It feels reductive, but the truth is math helps you see where you have control. And if your weight is shifting the direction you want, there are maybe three variables that you can consider. First is what you put in, the food, the quality, the macro makeup, right? The second is what you're burning with planned work. This is your strength and conditioning sessions. It is your conditioning. It is everything that you do in the gym, in the facility, in your fitness, right? That is that other output side. Now, the third is all of the movement in between. And that is the steps, the walking, the incidental energy, all of that. So let me tell you just a quick story. There was a player I coach who would absolutely destroy himself on the bike for 2 hours after practice. He thought, oh man, I could just log jam cardio into my daily routine. And that was the only way for him to actually change his body composition. The first week, he dropped a little bit. The second week, a little bit more. Third week, the fatigue crept in. And his lifts tanked, his conditioning tanked, his mood was terrible. He missed practice focus. He was just cranky and erect. He eventually bounced back because his recovery collapsed, right? The weight came back to his physique and his body composition actually got a little bit worse. Now, we adjusted. We cut the long cardio sessions out. He brought protein back up. We nudged calories down maybe moderately, and we added some daily steps in between. Now, within a few weeks, he kept losing weight. Right? His body composition improved. That's what he was searching for anyways. He regained his training quality. Now, the lesson that we can all take away from this is that you can make the math work without trashing yourself. So why does this matter beyond numbers? Because sustainability is the real metric. You want a system that produces results and keeps you available to train, to coach, to parent, to meet deadlines. Availability is your superpower. And if you're on the sidelines because you're fatigued or you're injured, the best plan in the world doesn't matter. So practical logic here is smart, right? Change one variable at a time. If the intake side is a little bit messy, yeah, sure, tidy that up. Now, you might get the kitchen scale out, you might log for a week or two, you might track your macros. And if logging reveals that you're maybe over consuming, then sure, maybe you reduce some calorie intake, 5% here or so, right? If the intake is solid and your progress stalls, then maybe look at your output at that point, right? But don't make output the first and only tool, especially not long, repetitive, 2-hour sessions that destroy your recovery. Instead, stagger those adjustments, tweak carbs, then fats, then proteins last. Keep your protein high to preserve that muscle mass that you've worked so hard to actually get. You increase your non-exercise movement before adding longer cardio sessions. So if you must add cardio, make it targeted 20 to 40 minute sessions of high quality work or session specific intervals rather than just endless cardio that lasts for days. So here's a simple tactic protocol that you can try this week that's safe, that's measurable, that's repeatable. Start a 7-day logging period and record everything, every condiment, every drink, every calorie. Track steps with your Apple Watch or your Whoop or your phone. Now, track your planned workouts, and then after 7 days, average your intake, average your steps, and if weight is moving in the direction that you want, great. If not, then change only one thing the following week, the next week. Maybe you reduce your calorie percent, or you add, 1,500 more steps per day, depending on what side is easier to manipulate while keeping your recovery intact. That's important. Then reassess, right? Action that you can do right now, tonight. Open your tracking log, right? Or your app, log your dinner, set a 7-day logging commitment and challenge, and then stay committed to not guessing your portions this week. Now, if you have been part of our former athlete society for as long as some of you guys have, right? I get emails and direct messages every single day, questions about our Q&A sessions, our accountability calls, our master classes, the training program, right? There's a couple different ways you can support what we're doing. Easiest, head over to adamringler.com, sign up for our former athlete society subscription tier. It is super easy and it's chock full of so much information there. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. Now, if you wanted just a teaser, then sign up for the free, right? All you got to do is pop in your name, your email, and you'll get free access to all of our public articles, our discourse in all of our comment section, and you will get notifications when all of those articles and blogs and things like that post. And I'm posting things every single week, darn near every single day, right? So head over, once again, adamringler.com, check out the website, sign up for either the free, the premium, or the former athlete society tier. Now, I want to move on to our second point, right? And that is all about sleep, right? Do you want better mornings? Then you need to control the last 120 minutes of your night. Seriously, if the training session that nobody ever tracks, right? Sleep is the quiet champion of consistency. And you can eat right and you can train hard, but if your wind down routine is chaotic, the next morning session will feel twice as difficult. Trust me, I do this all the time and I'm terrible at it, right? That's why I spend so much of my time and effort trying to control my evening routine. I used to think I was invincible. I'd burn the candle with calls and late night scrolls and then wonder why my energy tanked because I have to wake up early in the morning. Part of coaching is practicing what I preach. And after too many groggy mornings, I rebuilt my evenings and it changed everything for me. And subsequently, my body loved me for it, right? My mornings got better, but it didn't happen by chance. So first, think of your bedroom as a cave, not an office. Temperature lowers, the light should be dimmed, if not black and dark, noise goes away. The rituals that you build 2 hours before bed are signals to your nervous system that say, hey, buddy, you have to relax. So start with the environment first. Make the room as cool as possible, as dark as possible, as quiet as possible. And if you have a partner, right, who reads late at night or watches television, well, number one, you shouldn't have a TV in your bedroom. But if they do, set some guidelines, set some rules, right? And work on your sleep quality and your hygiene together. Now, I've talked about this before on previous shows, but things like blue light blocking glasses, they're not a gimmick. They actually help truncate some of the evening light signal that keeps your cortisol higher and your melatonin lower. But more importantly, remove the phone from your immediate reach. I'm looking right up. Here it is. It's right here for me. Try to get it out of your immediate reach. Put it in another room if you can, right? Get an old school alarm clock, right? The old ones that actually plug into the wall. You know what I'm talking about, right? Or put it in a drawer at least, right? If you absolutely need the phone for your alarm, set a dedicated device that does just one thing. Second, reduce that psychological stress. Don't slam a big, or not psychological, but the physiological stress, if you will, right? Reduce the physiological stress. Don't slam big meals or a load of liquids right before bed. And if you're drinking 200 ounces a day, like I do sometimes, right, try to taper your intake after 7 p.m., right? I promise you this, right? You want to avoid the middle of the night bathroom trips. And if it's a carbohydrate plan that is driven by maybe lower carbohydrate intake or glycogen being lower, remember that glycogen ends up pulling water into the cell. So the hydration dynamics change a little bit as you're manipulating carbohydrates. So step back, reduce the evening fluids by a cup or two if sleep is disrupted. Now, third, right, there's things that we can do to add calming signals. So things like foam rolling, for 10 minutes, or taking a hot shower 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Hot shower, isn't it supposed to be cool? Yes, yes, right? But a hot shower and then immediately stepping into a cooler environment, that drops your core body temperature, which is an excellent sleep physiological signal. Now, read a book, try to keep it something that isn't a psychological thriller, something that amplifies your fight or flight signal, right? And maybe some guided breathing apps if you like, right? All of those things have been helpful with shifting my sleep, and certainly probably your sleep as well. Now, I recommend starting with 5 minutes of slow breath work, building up from there. Don't expect perfection overnight. You're training your nervous system, right, to expect calm. Now, a mindset shift is needed here. You have to treat your evenings like a pregame routine. So when I was wrestling, I had a whole pre-match routine that wired me for clarity. I did the same thing, right, for every single match and every single practice. We have to do the same thing for sleep. Your wind down is a deliberate, non-negotiable practice that protects your training quality the next morning. So tactical plan for you right now, right? Pick a 120 minute wind down window. Set a reminder that blocks your email, that turns off your notifications. You can do that on iPhone. I'm sure you can do it on Android, right? And then commit to no screens, televisions, iPads, laptops, and certainly your phone 60 minutes before bed, right? Get off TikTok, get off Instagram, get off all of your social media, and then maybe think about swapping a heavier evening meal for a lighter protein-based snack and tapering that water after 7 p.m. Now, if you do like to nap, I haven't napped in years. If you like to nap, keep it short. Keep it early in the day. That way its effects doesn't actually negatively affect your sleep schedule. Now, an immediate action item that you can do right now, tonight, is put your phone in a different room. Commit to doing that, right? In another room, 60 minutes before bed, and try a 5-minute breathing exercise before you sleep. I promise if you do those things, you will sleep so much better, and the next morning, your performance will be better as well. So, couple things. If you're new to this channel, you know what I'm going to probably ask of you right now. And it is to hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and then hit the notification bell so you get first access to all of the videos that we're dropping here on our YouTube channel. We're trying to take the collective wisdom of 20 years of elite performance, strength conditioning, sports science, and apply it to your life here at the Former Athlete Society. Take the best lessons so that you can reclaim your glory days. Your best physique, your best performance doesn't need to happen when you're 18 to 22. It could be like me when you're 39, right? So moving on from there, hit the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and get first access to all the videos that we are dropping. Moving on. Buy the thing you want but probably don't need. Then show up because the money that you spent already nudged your behavior. And what this is it's part psychology, part consumer behavior, and part practical trick. I don't think expensive gear or clothing or shoes magically makes you more disciplined. But spending money can actually change your relationship to the process. When I buy something I value, whether it's a pair of lifting shoes, a weight belt, a quality training top, shirt, or something like that, I'm more likely to respect the time that I spent wearing that gear. So let me be honest. This is where, I guess it's shallow perhaps, but it works. When I picked up some new wrist straps, the first couple weeks going into the gym, right? I walked into that gym. I walked into our facility with a little bit of bounce. Like I was excited to actually get under the bar and bench with my new wrist straps. And it's all about using human nature to my advantage. So what I mean by that is that skin in the game matters. So if you've signed up for something and you paid for coaching, right, you want to get value from it. Same with tools, right? You spend a small amount of money on something that will remind you daily, your new headphones, a hat, a gym bag, it becomes a cue. Now, I want to caution this though. This has to be sensible, right? Spending hundreds and thousands of dollars every month on gear is not sustainable, right? The point is to create some friction against quitting. If you spent $50 on a training program, you're more likely to use it than if you were to find a free downloadable PDF. Now, if you bought a set of, weight room straps, you'll probably use them. If you bought a closet full of shirts every week because you can't go to the gym without a new outfit, then you're chasing a crutch, not a system. So use purchases as accelerants, not as the foundation of your progress or motivation. So the mindset here is this: think of small purchases as accountability anchors. You don't buy it to impress others. You buy it to create a small daily reminder that you value the thing that you say you value. Then that sort of reminder compounds over time. So pick one item that you'll use often. So maybe it's a new pair of lifting shoes, or a reliable gym bag, or a subscription to a training app like Macro Factor, one of my favorites, that you can actually open daily. Put it in a visible place, right? Where the sight of it becomes a psychological cue. Hey, go train, go meal prep, go log your macros. If you're on a budget, maybe put aside a small little training fund, right? When it's time to invest, you'll do it with some intentionality. So an immediate action item here is right now, choose one small purchase under $100 that can increase your likelihood of showing up, schedule for it, right? The purchase. And if you already have it, then put it in your gym bag tonight, right? You do those things, I promise you this, you will show up for yourself. You will show up to the next day in the gym, and you will love the training process. Now, I do want to move on, but before I do want to say a couple of different things. If you've been following our YouTube channel for a while, let's see if I can do this. If you've been following us for a while, then you know that right here, you can head over to adamringler.com. It is my Instagram handle. You can get all of the behind the scenes access to everything that we're doing, not just in the university I work for, but my own training, my own nutrition, my own macros, right? The cardio I'm doing, the training I'm doing. You'll get a behind the scenes access to what it takes to have sustainability in your training, your nutrition, your lifestyles, and your behaviors. So as always, that's the easiest place to find me, right there at adamringler.com, or at Adam Ringler on all of the socials, from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook to Blue Sky to X, you name it, probably on it. So head over there, give me a like, shoot me a DM maybe, and just say, hey, I'm following you from your YouTube channel. Oh, and by the way, I ended up following you from that YouTube channel that you run, Former Athlete Society, and some of the Adam Ringler content that you've been posting over there. Now, let's move on to our last accountability tactic. Want to never overthink your dinners again? Then buy the 4 things I'll list here, and your meal prep will start acting like training sessions: short, repeatable, and effective. So this topic is fun because it's somewhat super tactical, and it's very easy to implement. Now, I've worked with people whose entire nutrition strategy improved by just changing one of these things in their kitchen. Now, you change all 4, and you're really off to the races, right? The right tools remove friction, and they take decisions out of the moment, and they actually make good choices the default. So first and most important thing, a reliable kitchen scale. You've heard me talk about it. I love mine. I travel with it in my Yeti lunchbox all of the time, and that's how much I trust it. When you measure, you stop guessing. There's no eyeballing what I do. Everything is deliberate, intentional, and quantified. You stop saying, it wasn't that much. You actually get data. And we talk about macros and calories all the time on this show, but the reality is most people wildly misjudge their portion sizes. And a kitchen scale, it takes 2 minutes, and it removes that question mark entirely. Now, the second thing I recommend to people who are jumping on the sort of Former Athlete Society society membership, and they join our training program, and they're jumping in the Q&As and the accountability calls, I say, hey, you have to get an air fryer. I don't romanticize it. It's a utility. You can cook chicken breasts quickly without drying them out. If you plate them right then and there, watch the time. I batch cook maybe 3 chicken breasts. I have one that moment. I have another one later in the afternoon, and I have the next one in the following morning, right? I love my air fryer. I toss in my chicken breast. I go 13 to 15 minutes on each side, and within 26 to 30 minutes, I have fresh, ready to eat chicken breasts, perfect macros, right? Fresh food in 30 minutes. For busy people like myself, this beats the frozen brand slog that we normally can buy. The air fryer lets you keep your protein high without relying on restaurants or takeout or any garbage like that. Now, the third thing I recommend to all of our current athletes is get yourself a crock pot or a slow cooker. If your schedule is long, which most athletes are, you throw a roast in, You keep it on low for 8 hours, and it's a magic productivity multiplier, right? You come home after practice, your meal is done, and there's minimal prep. It's high, super high yield. And for people who are time poor, like most students and college students and athletes, but serious about their nutrition, the crock pot is essential. It's cheap, it's easy, it makes meals feel prepared rather than improvised. Now, my fourth recommendation that I often recommend to everybody, you've heard me talk about it, you need a great drinking vessel. And this might feel silly, but the right bottle can change your drinking, your hydration behavior. So I've used the 50-ounce Yeti Yonder. I've used a 40-ounce Rambler with the straw. I've talked about that in past shows. The straw makes my hydration super mindless. I keep it on my desk here at work. But the visual of water in the bottle actually triggers intake throughout the day. And when I travel, those bottles are the first thing that I pack, certainly my Yonder. I travel everywhere with it. Hydration matters for training, for your recovery, for your mood, for your appetite, your regulation, all of those things. And tools like those nudge you towards more consistent hydration. And that is such a critical piece to your performance. So story time, right? Let's just jump. Oh my, here we go. Let's get into it, right? I once lost my kitchen scale right before a road trip. And I come off, I guessed all my portions, right? How much eggs was this? How much was this bagel? And rather than actually measuring it, right? I had to guess everything. And then you could imagine, right? My progress in the gym, in body composition, all plateaued. As soon as I found that scale, it was hidden under a bunch of things in my kitchen, right? The variations, all of the macros, all of that, the progress came back. I knew exactly what I needed to tweak. And it's one of those small things that creates clarity. So, mindset for you watching this, remove that decision fatigue. The fewer daily choices you need to make, the more likely that you actually keep to the program. These types of tools, right, they convert your intention into conversion into habits. So what I recommend, maybe buy a scale if you don't have one, right? Use it for 2 meals, 3 meals for a couple, right? Get into the habit of actually weighing out your food. Roast or slow cook maybe 1 protein on Sunday. And if you have an air fryer, then maybe air fry 2 ready to eat chicken breasts somewhere in the middle of the week. Now, you fill your primary bottle every morning, right? Set a goal to drink it. I try to drink 4 of those, right? So again, do the math, that's 200 ounces of water. And if you do 1 batch cook and 1 daily bottle refill and you stay consistent with that, you're going to be ahead of so many people nutritionally and from a hydration standpoint. So what can you do right now? You can go to Amazon.com. You can buy a kitchen scale. You can commit $20 to that. And if you do it, use it, right, on your next meal. And notice how it changes your portion estimates, right? That's such a hack that most people don't actually even realize. So how does all of this stack up, right? We've just walked through the 4 things that sound small, right? Math on the scale, buying new fitness gear, using the right kitchen utensils, all of these things, they add up in an enormous way. The common thread is that it reduces frictions, it increases the predictability, and it protects your availability, right? You don't need heroic effort every day to make sustainable long-term progress in your body and performance. You just need systems that make the right choices easier. So if you take one thing away, let it be this. The plan that wins is the one that you can commit to longer than everybody else. We're talking about building a life that you can sustain, not just chasing a sprint that leaves you fragile. So before we wrap up, there's a couple reminders I want to make sure I get out. Number 1, measure a baseline. If you don't know where you're starting at, you'll be guessing the entire time. Number 2, implement just one of these tactics this week only. Don't try to do a complete overhaul of everything from your accountability, right? Just one thing this week. And then number 3, when you screw up, and listen, you will, right? Everybody does. Respond like an athlete. Reset, learn, and then move forward. So if you like this format, again, this is what I do on these accountability calls. I try to give you some real actionable information that you can apply this week, every single week when you join these and when you watch these videos. Now, drop a comment if you like this. Tell me which one of these 4 tactics that you are committing to this week and what small win that you had this week. Now, Go do the tiny thing that matters, right? Whether it's you're locking down your training window through a better sleep hygiene, buying the kitchen scale, or moving your phone out of your bedroom tonight. Do one of those things, right? And I want to hear about that in our community. Now, if you felt like any of this stuff was useful, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join our YouTube channel. And if you're a member of the Former Athlete Society, I'm going to post this resource in our adamringler.com community post site. It's a private membership site. Again, you can head over right here, adamringler.com, sign up for it today. You can join our society, right? Now, if you're not in the society and actually just want a place where we actually use these tactics and support and accountability, then that website is where you can sign up for the membership. So I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for showing up for yourself. You are committing to your best self. And just remember that. It's a long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I appreciate you for showing up for yourself, and your future self will appreciate you for watching these videos. Till next one, stay safe, stay strong. I'll see you on the next Q&A.